Hello and welcome back to Herbie's Garage. Today I'm on my 2025 LIFAN KPT 400 and I plan on doing a coolant flush, I guess you'd call it, and change out. Why am I going to do this? Especially since my bike is new, the coolant is still good. Well, basically I have two reasons. One is I'd like to do a video on this to show other people that may not know how to do it. And the main reason why is because my coolant overflow bottle, reservoir bottle, gets low just every now and then. It's not very much. It only takes like an ounce. I think I've only filled it once, and I put distilled water in it. You're not supposed to do that. So I want to make sure that my coolant isn't diluted like that with excess amount of distilled water. So I want to empty it out, and I want to make sure that I get the right coolant put in it. I don't want to mix the wrong coolant with the coolant that's in there, even though I think mine was pink. Um, Even pink coolants, if you use the same ones, I think there's a couple of different ones, maybe a couple different formulas in it. I don't know. But I want to use a specific one, which is the Honda HP Type 2 coolant. But man, I tell you what, if you guys have ever Googled coolant and coolant types and stuff like that, it's just crazy. There's IAT, there's OAT, there's POAT, there's HOAT, PHOAT, a bunch of different types, and there's also different colors. There's pink, there's red, there's green, there's purple, there's blue, there's orange, there's just all different colors. You're not supposed to mix them. You're not supposed to mix the different technologies and stuff like that. So I'm not 100% sure what this has in it. I just want to make sure that I take it out and I put what I feel is the proper fluid in here. I have used Honda HP2 coolant in all of my motorcycles. I've never had a problem. Now it is a POAT, which is a phosphate enhanced coolant, which the OAT is organic acid technology, which is organic coolant. If you look in the book, I have it highlighted here. It says what to put in it. It says special organic coolant should be used. What's special organic? I'm not real sure. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and replace mine with this blue Honda coolant. This is what I plan on putting in it. Either this or this. They're both type 2. But this coolant is non-silicate and non-borate, and it's formulated with deionized water, not distilled water, deionized water. This coolant is supposed to be really good, so I'll probably use these 1 quart bottles depending on how much is in it. I looked in the book to try to see the capacity of the coolant, and I didn't find it. So what I plan on doing is I'm going to take the coolant out and I'm going to measure it so you guys will know how much I took out of it, and then we'll figure out how much we got to put back in it based on that. So let's go ahead and get started. I got to take a lot of things off in order to get down to the radiator. Well, not a lot, but a few things. So stick with me and we'll take some stuff apart and then we'll get started. First place we're going to start is take all this stuff off here in the front, because we need to loosen these, take these screws out and lift this up in order to take this side panel off. So I'm going to take this windshield off. And if you've seen one of my previous videos on this, you saw me do this already. It's not really a big deal. But we got to get to the nut on the turn signal in order to loosen it so we can raise up that plastic part without breaking it. We don't want to break it. And all I'm doing is taking these two adjusting posts, these two adjusting wheels, two adjusting knobs out of it. And then I'm going to take the nut off the back side of it. And then I'm going to lift up and pull back towards me and then lift it off. Now I'm going to take these 4 screws off. They're just JIS Phillips head. And these are all the same size screws. I mentioned that in my other video. Just in case you didn't see the other video, I'll kind of keep you up to date on this. Okay, now on this plastic piece, it has to come back towards me. I'm in the front of the bike, so we got to grab a hold of it and pull it. There's a couple little places here that it snaps in, but those come out pretty easily. But there's a pin right here that's a little more difficult to snap. So we got to grab a hold of it and pull it straight towards us. If I can grab a hold of it. There we go. See, it just has that pin. It just snaps in this little slot down here. Now this has got a 16 millimeter nut, and in my last video I showed that I took a 16 millimeter, just a cheap wrench, and I ground it down so it would fit in here a lot easier. But there's other options that you could use as well if you don't want to do that. If you have a 16 millimeter line wrench, you could use that as well. And you can get in there and loosen and tighten with this. The problem with this one is it's 6-point and you don't have as much, you got to go a long way before you get on the nut sometimes if it gets in a funny angle. So what I like to use on something like this is a 12-point, and I just cut a notch in it to go through the wire, and you can just slip it over the wire and then we can loosen it up really easily with the 12-point. And now this should lift up pretty easily. Okay, now I'm going to turn my handlebars all the way to the right. Then on the inside of this clear plastic piece, there's 2 bolts that are in here. See that? My turn signals came on. It doesn't like me messing with it. Now you can safely lift this up and get it out of the way. Those are the 2 bolts I took out of it. They're a 5 millimeter, I think. Yeah, 5 millimeter hex. Now I'm just going to lay a couple of rags here on this fender to protect the finish, because what we need to do now is this bar here, we're going to drop it down to kind of get it out of our way. And then we'll come back here to the back and pull off that rubber cap. With the 6 millimeter, we're just going to loosen these good so it'll swivel. And then in the front, there's 2 screws that holds it up. I'm going to take them out. Hopefully my wires are long enough on my lights to where I could drop this down without stretching the wires out. And you got to hold on to the bar, because after this one it will drop. I got my arm underneath the bar. Okay. Now we're going to drop this down onto the fender. Yeah, my wires are a little bit long. Then I'm going to go ahead and take these all the way out, so it'll give me room so I can kind of wiggle it side to side a little bit. Now if I need to, I can pull this out And that's all I'm going to do is take this one bolt out. I'm not going to take the other side out, just this one. Then I'm going to come back up to the top, take this one bolt out here. One screw, I should say. It's only a bolt if it has a nut on it. That's what that looks like. Okay, then we're going to take this one screw out here. And then there's one bolt right down here at the bottom. We're going to take it out to 8mm. And there's what that looks like. Now the one I took out from above there, I just took out, it was a JIS or Phillips screw. So down here, that's what these two look like. Then up here at the front, underneath, by the headlight, is a JIS Phillips screw. Pull it out. It's a little bit longer, I think. And then way up underneath here, there's a couple of Phillips or JIS screws that hold this yellow trim piece on. And we'll take it out. This should be the last piece we have to remove. That one. I'll hold up on that plastic piece so it doesn't fall and get scratched. Okay. Okay, now that all the fasteners are removed from it and everything's off, right here there's a post that this plastic, this hole in this plastic sits onto, so you have to lift it up. You'll hear it pop, and then you can shove the whole thing forward. Just grab it from the back here, pull it out, and then shove it forward. Now I'm going to have to take this other bolt all the way out, I think, in order to give me enough room to get that out. So I'm going to remove this one too. I think that'll give me a little more wiggle room without having to take this bar all the way out. All right, let's see if that gave me enough room. I'm going to pull this bar back towards me a little bit. Okay, now I got to turn my handlebars a little. And then you just kind of finagle that out. As you can see, it's got a little bit of a hook there. This is the hole I was telling you about. You had to pull it off with a post. There's a post right here. And then it's got a hook, and it's got hooks here in the back as well. And then this is what's on the bottom. It's got the 8mm bolt through it. You could probably leave that on and just lift it out, but you'd be fighting it, so it'd be better off to take it off like I did. And then we're ready to get to the cooling system. Okay, so I'm going to remove this reservoir tank. So I'm going to take these two screws out. There's one on top and one down here on the bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to take the hose. Then I'm going to take the clamp on the hose and I'm going to loosen that. Then I'm going to take some hose pliers. Pull this hose off. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and drain this bottle out. This looks like it had green coolant in it. Okay, now all I need to do is flush this bottle out a little bit, clean it up a little. Now this is the owner's manual. And when it talks about the replacement of the coolant, it says place the vehicle vertical on flat ground, which I do have. Put an empty container under the outlet of the water tank. Pull out pipe and drain the coolant when the engine is cold. See that? That's kind of surprising, but I'm going to do like the book says. Then reinstall the pipe and refill the coolant. If you look at the picture, the outlet pipe that they're showing is at the water pump down the engine. So that's the one I'm going to remove. And the engine has to be cold, it says. Before I take this off, I'm going to have to move this pan so it doesn't make a big mess. I'm going to take this splash pan, guard, whatever you want to call it, off the bottom down here. It's only got, I think, 5 bolts, 4 or 5. Okay, with all the bolts removed, I'm going to remove this splash pan. Okay, now it looks like this pipe that's on the uphill side, this hose, they call it a pipe. This hose on the uphill side looks like is the one they're talking about as being the outlet. The lower one would be the inlet, the upper one would be the outlet. So let's pull the clamp off of it. Got a pretty heavy clamp. Alright, now that the clamp's off of it, I'll try to remove the hose. And I've got some big hose pullers. And I want to do this with the cap still on, so hopefully it won't make too big of a mess. Now see, that fluid looks pink. All right, now I'm going to go on the other side and take the cap off of it so it'll flow a little bit faster. Yeah, remove the cap. I know it doesn't say to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and remove the other hose just to see if I get any more out of it. . I've got some regular pliers for this, some hose clamp pliers. I need to get those out. Yeah, there's a little bit more in there. I don't know if you can see behind here, but this nipple right here, I think is the weep nipple. If that pump ever goes bad, it'll start weeping out of that nipple right there. All right, I think that's pretty much all of it. Let me go ahead and reattach these hoses. Okay, I've got my measuring cup set up. This is only a 32-ounce measuring cup, but it doesn't look like a whole lot of fluid. I've got my pan bent to where hopefully it'll pour good without spilling too much. Okay, there's 32 ounces. Now we'll put the rest of it in here. We know we have 32 ounces so far. And that looks like 14 ounces. So we have 46 ounces total. Mine is a little bit low. My bottle, overflow bottle, was a little bit low. It might be an ounce or two low. So we might have 1.5 quarts. It might be 32 and 16. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put my reservoir tank back on so it'll kind of seal the system up. I'm not going to put the clamp on it. I'm just going to set that on there like that. Then I'm going to put some distilled water in it, fill it up. Put this pan under it in case I spill some, which I know I will. That funnel's doing a pretty good job of holding the water in there, so I'm just going to leave that on there. Leave it up into the funnel. I'm going to go ahead and start it up and let it circulate. I'm going to keep an eye on my temperature gauge. You can see it's bubbling, getting the air out of it. As you can see on my temperature gauge, it's all the way warmed up. So I'm going to shut it off. Now I'm going to put the cap back on so it doesn't come rushing out on me. Okay, I've got my hose clamp pliers, if I can get them in there. They kind of lock in place. It's kind of nice. All right. Now I'm going to take the hose off again. All right. Now I'm going to open the radiator cap. And as you can see, it's got a little bit of pink in it. And the reason why it's got a little bit of pink in it is it's flushing it out. Plus, I let it run and clean out the engine. So all the coolant went through after the thermostat opened up and ran through the engine and flushed out all that was in the engine left. All right, let's see how much water we got out of it mixed with a little bit of coolant. It doesn't look like it is as much. There's 32 ounces. And looks like there's only a couple ounces in here. Almost 6 ounces. About 5.5 ounces. Well, let's make sure it's all empty. All the water's out of it. And let's go ahead and reattach the hoses. And it's got a little stop there to stop you from going too far. Okay, I went ahead and emptied out my distilled water jug into here to measure, see how much I had actually put in the motorcycle. And there's 3 quarts. So I had measured 1 quart and 5.5 ounces. So that's exactly about how much water I had taken out. Because this is a 1 gallon jug, as you can see right there, which is 4 quarts. So 1 quart and 5 ounces would probably come to about there. So I took out what I put in. Okay, now I've got my funnel set in there pretty tight to where it shouldn't leak. It should hold the fluid up into the funnel. It's a nice fit. So I'm going to go ahead and take my Honda HP Coolant Type 2. I'll break the seal. You gotta make sure you don't get that aluminum junk down in your engine, that little tab. And then I'll start filling it up. And this is pre-mixed. It's ready to go. It's a 50-50 mix. I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. Got the fans running now. I'm gonna turn it off. Sounds like the fans quit. See where the temperature gauge is at. As you can see, my temperature is up there pretty high. It normally rides right around here. Once it gets up into there, the fan kicks on and then it brings it back down. But I probably have an air pocket in there. Okay, I've had it run down pretty far into the funnel, so I think I could put my cap on. Well, I want to show you that I have my fan set up, and with it running, the temperature dropped down. The fan came on a couple times and it kept dropping down, so it's functioning normally. And if you come down here, you feel the hoses, they're hot. That's where they're supposed to be. It means we're getting circulation through the hoses. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take this funnel out, and it's right up to the top where it's supposed to be. And I'm going to put the cap on it. Make sure that's good and secure, all the way tight, like that. Then we'll take our tank. We'll try to turn it. I don't want to take it off because it might leak. pressure off of the tank or off of the line whenever I move this up into position. There we go. And I'll move the clamp down. Right there. And then we'll mount our tank back up. And then I'll get the one on the bottom. Okay. I don't know how much that's going to hold, but this has got about 12 ounces in it. I'm going to fill this up because this is going to have the same amount in it as what I took out of it. So I'm going to try to put this whole container in here and we'll see where it goes. Yeah, it's filling it up. Alright, now I got the funnel out of it and cap back on it. I'm just going to let it sit here and idle for a while, and hopefully this will drop down a little bit, and then I'll top it back off with what I have, and it should be good. Okay, it's starting to rise a little bit. Fan should come on. There it is. Now it should cool it down about a bar, and then the fan will kick off. There we go. Working perfectly. Well, I got it all in, but about 2 ounces. And it's just a little above the full mark. So I'm going to be driving it for a little bit. I may have to top this reservoir off a time or two, but I want to show you this little pinhole that's in this neck. See that little hole? That's where it drips out of occasionally. It'll come out right there. And it'll drip down the threads and drip out. That's why you end up losing just a little bit. I'm not sure. That hole definitely was there from the factory. I'm not sure why they put it there, but it's there. Now, one thing we want to make sure of is this little metal clip doesn't fall off. So it feels a little bit loose. See if I can pull it off and squeeze it together a little bit. And I'm going to put it back on. Same spot. Now it's good and tight. That way I won't lose it. Now we'll go ahead and sneak this in here and try to reinstall it. Now I've got to put these hooks in the slots, line everything up. Now see, you got to kind of push this down because it's being held up by this post back here. So you got to make sure that's pushed down and into the slot. There we go. And that popped in over that post. So that's all in. So now I'm going to take this 8mm bolt. I'm going to stick it in here at the bottom. And we'll get that one in. So then we'll take our Phillips screwdriver, JIS. We'll put this one in. Then I'll tighten this one on the bottom since I got that one tight. Okay. All right, then I'll go ahead and put this one in. I'll move this down. And then I'll go ahead and put these two in. Okay. Okay, then I'll put this little trim piece in here, this yellow trim piece. You gotta kind of guide the edges in, and then we can put the 2 bolts in it. 2 screws. Okay, that's all buttoned up. Okay, now we'll put the other one in. One thing you gotta be careful of with this is when you start moving it around, it'll start scratching your frame if you're not careful. I should have put a piece of tape across here. If you ever do this, put a piece of tape across here to stop it from scratching. Okay, now I'm just gonna raise this up and put these back in. It's a bolt with a lock washer. Okay, we got that tight. Okay, so I'll tighten this up. Okay, I'll tighten this one up. And we'll put the plug back in it. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to take my 16mm boxed-in wrench that I had cut an opening in it. I'm going to hold the turn signal where I want it. And I'm going to tighten it up. Okay. Okay, now I'll take this post, put it in this slot, press it, make sure that these two are snapped in over here on the sides. Then I'll start putting my screws in it. All right, so now I'm going to take my shield, bring it in from the top, slide it in, Make sure it's all the way in. It looks like it is. Take my adjusters, flat edge goes in. The other side, flat edge goes in. Okay, now we can put the splash plate on. Now, I've mentioned this many times before, but there's one bolt that's different than the others. This is the only one that's got a shoulder, and it goes in the bottom because the hole's bigger in the bottom. Now that I got them all started, I'll go around and snug them up. Alright guys, that was the coolant removal, flush, and replacement on the 2025 LIFAN KPT 400. Just know that if you're going to do this job, allow yourself plenty of time because you don't want to get in a rush. You want to allow that fluid to get in there whenever you're filling it up and get all the air bubbles out that you can. That's the main important thing. And I did a lot of research on what coolant to use. I searched Google, I searched forums, and my conclusion was that more than likely this pink fluid, this pink coolant that came in the KPT is similar probably to the Yamacool, which is pink. The problem with it is it's kind of a lighter pink. It's hard to see in the reservoir. Now this Honda HP coolant type 2 is darker blue and it's a little bit easier to see, but they're both supposed to be a PHOAT coolant. They're supposed to be the same coolant, just different colors. I don't know that for sure, and I just want you to know I would not mix them. I would not pour Honda coolant in your machine. Personally, I'd do like I did. I would drain it out, flush it out with distilled water, and then fill it back up with Honda coolant if that's what you want to do. My bike is running good. The fan is cycling good. It's not running hot whatsoever. And I'm kind of anxious to take it out and see what it does. My coolant bottle, it will probably go down a little bit because I was 2 ounces shy of filling it up completely. I run a little bit a while and get everything circulating real good at high rate of speed, constant rate of speed, and then let it cool off. It probably sucks some out of the bottle and things like that, and then I'll top it off. But I'll let you guys know. I'll do a riding video and I'll do an update on this coolant change and flush on this KPT 400. Appreciate you coming along and watching. I know it was a long video, but I think it's pretty important. I don't think that this bike needed it at this time, but at least I know that if I ever do have to add any, I know exactly what coolant to put in it, and that makes me feel good. So that's what was important. And I want you guys to feel good about it as well on your bike. I want your bike to be all the way up to standard, all the way up to maintenance level that it should be, the high level. That's what we want because we don't want any problems. All right, thanks for coming along and watching, and I will see you on the next one.